Julia Trubkina from 90 Day. The Last Resort has been experiencing a tough time due to a family member suddenly taking ill after she launched her successful business in the U.S. without Brandon Gibbs by her side. Julia came from a big city to live on a Virginia farm looking after animals. Julia managed to fit into the lifestyle just well and even adopted 2 dogs from Brandon's parents' farm. Julia became a dog trainer thanks to Ron Gibbs's help, and even started her own subscription box business for dogs after several failed careers in the U.S. Julia started calling herself a mom to her 2 dogs, who were her constant companions. However, in April 2025, Julia revealed Simba was facing a major health crisis. Julia shared a post with pictures of her with her dog Simba, where the first one showed her and Brandon posing with the German Shepherd. "This week broke my heart into pieces. The doctors suggested putting Simba to sleep because they said that he would not live to see the second operation," Julia wrote in her caption. "His legs stopped working. He stopped eating. He went to the toilet under himself. We lost sleep. But we refused," she added. "I want to say thank you." Julia and Brandon carried Simba outside in their arms and helped him use the toilet and move his paws. However, they only heard bad news from the doctors. Miraculously, 2 days later, Simba started eating well, little by little, and is already learning to walk and play again. As per Julia, Simba is slowly gaining strength, so they can now perform his second operation on him. Julia wished to thank her fans for the warm messages and thousands of words of support that she'd received in the last few days. What Julia's positive health update about Simba means for her marriage. Julia is not helpless during Simba's recovery. Julia was just celebrating the success of her new business when the bad news of Simba's health came her way. Julia had shared an update revealing she was going to sell cat products on the website as well, in addition to dog items. Julia seems to have been inspired by her own pets to launch her business, considering how close she is to her dogs. Simba having a stroke suddenly troubled Julia. She even refused to comment on the tell-all, where her relationship with Brandon was discussed heavily this week. Julia was praying for Simba's health as he struggled to move on his own. She spent several sleepless nights tending to her son. He had to take a lot of pills after his first surgery. Julia had to force him to stand up, and Simba weighed 85 pounds. Critics wondered if Julia would start a GoFundMe to raise money for her dog's vet bills. However, Julia asked fans to support Simba by buying her subscription boxes instead. Julia never revealed whether Brandon was helping her out. However, her latest post about Simba clears all doubts about her and Brandon's relationship. Our take on Julia mentioning Brandon in her update about Simba's health. Are Brandon and Julia still together? Julia wouldn't have kept her picture with Simba and Brandon as the cover photo of her album if Brandon wouldn't have helped her with Simba. Julia and Brandon are still together, but she somehow keeps her captions ambiguous to make it look like they are having marriage problems. The 90 Day Fiancé star had stopped posting about Brandon completely during filming 90 Day. The last resort to create curiosity about their relationship. However, in a situation like this, where their pet needed their love and care, Julia couldn't help but post about her husband.